have you heard about Good Town? Everybody's happy and you never see a frown there in Good Town. Oh my Lord, I'll pack my bags are packed for good.
Let's go through the awards quickly. Where do we start with the awards? I can't even remember what the first one was.
Well, the exciting one, to start with was the Cooper's, our new sponsor. They sponsored the Best New Artist, and Diaphrix won it. They're all from Africa, refugees. All of their songs are about, what it's like being a refugee in Australia and visas and living in commission flats and all that kind of stuff. And, incredible sort of story that they're just surviving here and they put an album together. But then to win the best hot young band in Australia, in Australia, in the awards, beating, Temper Trap and a few other big bands like that was astonishing. And they were absolutely thrilled. They all came along and, maybe we'll get them to play one year. So that's a fantastic thing. It's a bit of a leg up for the band that they can say they got voted, by the community for this big award. So, I was thrilled, and they were thrilled that they won that. So hopefully it'll really, help them give them a leg up.
And the EG Awards also had foresight into an ARIA award winner, Bertie Blackman, taking out an award on the night.
Yeah.
And then following up with the ARIA, but it seems to me that the EG Awards gets in there first.
Yeah, well, we got wind that the ARIAs were moving to our night.
Yeah.
Moving 6 weeks later to our night in November. So we snuck it forward a week because we didn't want everyone to have award fatigue by the end of the week. And I went to 3 awards nights in the week, and I can be quite honest and say ours were the only one that anyone enjoyed. Not just enjoyed, but really fucking loved.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you there. It's the other awards were not as good as they have been. I guess that's about as much as
they just drag it out too long. Too many people talk. They're made for TV, whatever. We just bang out our awards in 15 minutes. Everyone's hearing it. Everyone still sees it, but we just don't have to sort of go on about it. Like, let's celebrate the music by getting those artists to play. And what I was really happy with was that we booked Bertie Blackman and Wagons and some of these acts that actually won the awards to play that night. So it ended up being a celebration of their music, not a celebration of them standing there waving something in the air, which doesn't really interest the fans. So that was huge. I mean, it was a huge surprise to me that the Wagons won, the 2 big awards, but that just shows, how much Melbourne loves a band like the Wagons. And, for Henry to then get up after winning, Best Group and Best Album and to bang out his couple of songs and play, like a man possessed, because he's just, won his first awards ever, was a real thrill. And, it was a tough gig for Bertie. She came on after the Wolfgram Sisters doing a full soul gospel review, and she was coming on doing, her pop songs, and I thought, oh, God, maybe we should put her on earlier. But once again, she just stepped up, and she got heckled early by some Dockers fan down the front.
I think they were heckling a few people that night.
There was a bit of heckling.
Yeah, but, it's a rock gig. There's got to be heckling.
I think they knew. I think Bertie knew it was a rock gig, and she had to stand up, and she did. She's got tons of charisma and X Factor, and she just pulled it all out and really, really impressed a lot of people. So I reckon she won a few new fans as well.
I also think the vibe from the awards is great because it's a standing crowd. It's not a sitting down having dinner in a tuxedo crowd. It's standing around with your mates, with punters, with music industry luminaries, all in the one room, having a good time. It takes that little bit of formality out of the event that I think makes it that much better.
Yeah, I think award ceremonies are great for the people, the winners and their managers and their mothers. For everyone else, they just want to rock and roll. And I think it's really important to have awards, reader voter awards that we do. The night's heavily focused on the actual performance, and the trick is for me to try and pick the best bands of the year. So we only find out the winners a couple of days before the show, and we've booked them in months before. So the trick for us is to try and pick the right acts who might actually win some of these awards and be favourites for all our readers who come along to the night, and then they'd see them perform. So, we don't need Robbie Williams wanking on, getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars
to dance
like a chicken. Yeah. How bad's his dancing?
It's terrible.
And
Absolutely
the RA crowd who were just in love with Robbie Williams, thought that was the best thing on the night. It was absolute disgrace. Robbie's the most overrated artist in the last 20 years. I mean, I grew up with Michael Jackson, George Michael, Boy George, all these truly talented, unique pop artists. I can't even hum you a bloody Robbie Williams note. The guy is trash, and the guy is overrated, and he was supposed to be the star of the Arias, and it was an absolute disgrace. He played for 2 minutes. He had some string section, horn section in the background. You couldn't even hear it. It wasn't even linked into the song. You couldn't even hear it. We have the Australian stars performing on our night. We don't need no ring-in Robbie Williams.
He didn't even look like he wanted to be there for a start. And from what I could see on the television, because I didn't attend the Arias, was that the people in the crowd weren't moving anyway. There was a couple up the front sort of waving their hands and screaming, but they look quite subdued.
Yeah.
Unlike the AGG Awards 2009 crowd, that was just amazing.
Yeah.
Such a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's a credit to you, mate, that you pulled all that together. Just such a
Thanks,
wonderful
mate.
event. And I think, there's been changes of people covering the event over the last few years, and a few little hiccups here and there, but I definitely think this year has solidified the AGG Awards for forever to come.
Yeah, we'd like to think so. I imagine every festival or event takes a few years to sort of warm up, and we've just had our fourth. It sold out a month in advance, and had a hell of a lot of people calling us for tickets. So, the word out there next year is, get in early, and that makes it easier for everyone, if they buy tickets early. The big question next year is whether we, pull another legendary band out of the vaults, or whether we try and get something fresh. And, we certainly don't want to have something that our established crowd from the last 4 years won't get into, but I'm not averse to throwing it on its head and having a couple of hip-hop bands there either, or a big soul review or something like that. So, hopefully we're getting to the stage where people are actually approaching us, wanting to play, because they're hearing about that it's a good night. And, I don't have a lot of spare time to run the night, so if people can approach us and say they want to be involved, my job's to listen to all the CDs that come out and real focus on Australian music, and to really, pick out the best Australian music of the year. So it's fairly natural for me to then ask them to play at the night, and then nominate them and see who votes for them. So it sort of flows on from my normal job as music writer with the Age. But in terms of the headliners, there's a bit of pressure now. Next year's EG turns 25, so, there's a big anniversary next year. And, certainly will be tempting if we get some legendary old bands to, say, oh, we never got that final gig, that, glorious final gig, the closure. But, if we can get a really good band, young band that we love, we're quite happy to throw them up. I mean, we induct someone into the Hall of Fame every year, and it doesn't have to be a band. It could be a radio personality who's, volunteered 25, 30 years of their life to community radio or something like that. So I think we'll have a few months off and just sort of, see what sort of comes to us, hopefully.
Well, it's getting into silly season. Meredith's around the corner, and Christmas parties all over the place. So rest while you can, because you're not going to have too much of it.
No, I just like when the sparks come to you. I like when the lightning strikes you. I'll never forget when, I was just sitting at home and the Dockers.
Yeah.
It just comes.
Yeah.
Dan Sultan comes. It just comes, and you're hearing the music, and then you put in a call, and most of the people that played this year, they just have really nice people involved. They have very small egos, and they have really nice managers, and it was an absolute dream to put it on this year. And some of the bigger bands, the bigger the band, the more shit you have to deal with to get them to play. So we'll weigh that all up. We certainly don't want to have to go through all sorts of dramas to get someone to play, because all the money goes to charity, and it's all the readers voting, and it's just a good vibe, and we're not some big fat cats making a lot of money out of it, and
No suits here. No suits here.
Didn't see too many suits there.
No suits at all.
Yeah, suits and rock and roll.
No. We'll keep them in the boardroom, away from everyone else. All right, mate. Well, thank you very much for coming in and having a chat, and thank you very much for inviting us down to the AGG Awards in 2009. Keep an eye out. Keep reading The Age. Keep reading EG. And next year is going to be bigger and better. It's the 25th anniversary of EG. It's going to be a cracker. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Ben, you have the only footage of the EG Awards this year, and good on you for having faith. And everyone get onto Ben's site and get online for what you missed, because it was very, very special.